people are arrested in Germany, jailed for speech.
No!
Yes.
They're arrested if they use hateful speech. Because of course they are. Okay, off. So you want Nazis?
You guys started it. Time for the latest installment of Change My Mind, where we rationalize our positions on controversial topics. This installment's premise is simple in that while the media has been repeating ad nauseum that President Trump is a racist...
Well, Jesus Christ, of course he's racist.
Yes.
Basically threatening us with going full racist.
Do you believe President Trump is a racist?
Yeah, no question.
Look at what he's done. It's racist.
I'm not convinced. I don't buy it, but you are welcome to change my mind, including you watching right now in the comments section. Make your case. And for those who missed it, this topic ruffled some feathers before we even started.
You're a damn backstabbing Trump supporter. A damn lying ass, lying right to my face.
You want to sit down and talk? Sure. Yeah, I don't know. You yell.
If I'm reasonable?
Yeah, I don't.
I won't scream at you. Eat you ass. You straight from me, Jesus Christ. Eat my butt.
Click the link in the description to watch the full video. Now, once that wrapped up, we managed to have a couple of people actually try and make their case. Well, then why do you think that Donald Trump is a racist?
You're like one of those moms.
Is that the sentiment in Finland?
Oh yeah.
Well, that would be interesting to sit down and talk about it, because it'd be interesting to hear a more international approach. We just had this lady's from the Netherlands, and she sat down.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay, yeah, come on, let's do it. Thank you so much.
Anyone, just like a mom.
Here, we're just, yeah, you can both, I'll kneel. You can both sit, and I'll kneel.
Are you sure?
Yes, it's totally fine.
Okay.
Come on up. Just your friend?
Yeah.
All right.
I have to brave the wilderness by myself.
All right.
Okay, awesome.
So you're both Finnish.
We're both, no, actually, neither of us are Finnish. We both live in Finland.
Oh, where are you from originally?
Germany.
Oh, Germany. So you're both German?
No, she's Estonian.
Well, come on, you're throwing me for a loop. Are you Finnish? Are you German? Are you Estonian?
I know. It's complicated.
Okay.
It's complicated. We're expats.
So German by way of Finland, Estonian by way of Finland.
Yes.
Okay, understood. All right. I actually was raised in French Canada by way of United States now.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I had a good friend when I was being raised who was Finnish. Okay, before we continue, because then we'll get to the Donald Trump thing, let me ask you this. There's something really weird with my friend who was Finnish. He would talk to his mother when she was naked in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Is that very common?
Yeah, but that's very common in Germany as well.
Okay, it's not here.
I know. You guys have a weird thing about nakedness. Like,
Well, more so naked moms. But yeah, I remember I thought it was really weird.
Yeah.
He was a great friend of mine.
Yeah.
Didn't speak English, but we both spoke French. And I remember one time he was talking to his mom in the bathroom. I said, "What? She was in the bathroom." He said, "Yeah, she was just taking a bath." I said, "But that's exactly what I was insinuating. You talk." He's like, "Yeah, I talk to my mom all the time when she's in the bath." So that's common.
Yeah, it's common because we have sauna, so we love ourselves like getting naked in front of others.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. That's a reason why I think the United States is better. All right. So you were saying you're from Finland. You said you don't necessarily feel super informed, but it is a general sentiment in Finland that President Donald Trump is racist. I don't think he's racist at all, but I would love to hear why you think that, or why that's the sentiment in Finland. Changed my mind.
Oh yeah, sure. I think that's the sentiment in Finland based on his speeches, for instance, about Mexicans, saying that, some of them are rapists and, some of them are good people.
Yeah.
But, I think it's a general sentiment in Finland is that he's racist and, supports white supremacy. Oftentimes even just about not saying certain things, not protesting certain things, like when we had the
Charlottesville,
exactly.
Yeah.
When he was talking about there's problems on both sides, or mistakes have been made on both sides.
Yeah.
I find that very troubling because it normalizes white supremacy.
So what if I were to tell you that a lot of what you just said would sort of indicate media bias, that the media is the one lying to you, not really Donald Trump? So take the Mexican thing, for example, where he talked about rapists. He was talking about MS-13. It's a notorious South American gang.
Yeah.
He never said Mexicans are rapists. He was talking about MS-13 and then said, by contrast, a lot of Mexicans are good people. As it relates to Charlottesville, do you know that he specifically said in that same speech, he specifically said, I'm not talking about white supremacists or neo-Nazis. They should be condemned totally. That he said that specifically. Are you aware that he said that?
No, I don't think so.
Would that change your opinion on him not condemning them? If he said, I'm not talking about white nationalists, I'm condemning them totally. And he said, but there were other people who were not white nationalists on both sides protesting and supporting the Robert E. Lee statue being torn down.
Yeah, I know. But in a way that kind of, for me, normalizes, because like we've seen the kind of people that were there and saying that like they are not white supremacists, they are just like, protesting. Which I think, like, if you protest peacefully, that's totally fine.
But that was most people there. It wasn't all a white supremacist and Antifa protest. There was Antifa on one side, white supremacists, but there were a lot of locals at that protest just there over the Robert E. Lee statue.
Yes.
And he did say there were fine people on both sides there protesting what they saw as a very important statue coming down. He said, now I'm not talking about the white supremacists or the neo-Nazis. They should be condemned totally.
Yes.
Is that acceptable?
No, because it's just a way of like, it's a way of doing his duty. Like he knows he's not allowed to, like he can't completely stand on the side of white supremacists, but in a way of not saying certain things, you support a certain imagery.
Well, what would he need to say? Like, I don't understand. Like, for example, right now, this guy right here, right? I think he's very rude. And I appreciate you sitting down. And I would say, hey, listen, today there were many people here who were civil, who were polite on both sides, meaning you more liberal, these people more conservative. And I would say, I'm not talking about that guy who was screaming and cussing. He should be condemned totally. Am I supporting that guy? I mean, how much more expressly could I condemn him? I say this because I genuinely don't understand how someone can hear a president, most people don't know this, when he says, I'm not talking about neo-Nazis or white supremacists, they should be condemned totally. What language would satisfy you?
No, it's also about actions taken. I mean, if I think about the fact that somebody says, like, we need to have a wall on our border, and like you have things like,
What's wrong with that, though? What does that have to do with white supremacy?
Well, because I'm from Germany. We had a wall. And what a wall generally means is either you try people from getting out or you like stop people from getting in.
Right.
And
It's a little different, though, when you're talking about the Berlin Wall. Talking about gross human rights tragedies inside that wall that they wanted to maintain the ability to carry
but
out.
what about human rights tragedies happening right now at the border where like children are separated from their families?
Well, that's actually the Flores consent policy that was, goes back to 97, and Obama was the one who was doing that first. A lot of the pictures you see of kids in cages, that was from Barack Obama. So the whole idea is that it actually was considered inhumane to separate, to put kids in detention centers. And so then people complained, and so they put them in detention centers with their families. But I just don't think it's genuine to compare the Berlin Wall to protecting a border. Right? I don't see. I mean, you mentioned white supremacy. This is interesting to me, though, because I think a lot of Americans, right, they hear this and they watch it. People who watch the full tape, we go, oh, well, he says neo-Nazis and white supremacists should be condemned totally. Clearly, he condemns it. And then you say, well, it's not enough. And I think that there's a disconnect because a lot of Americans here, everyone here who despises racism says, well, that's enough for me. He says they should be condemned totally. He's obviously not on board, and he repeatedly said that. But you say it's not enough. So it's got to be hard to convince people that someone's a racist that way.
Yeah. Well, that's because, like, I mean, the way that we look at racism is very subtle. Like there are parts still in the system that are very much like race-based. That he reproduces.
Like what?
And why do you need a wall at your border?
To protect your border, to keep illegal immigrants from coming in through the country.
Okay, who else?
How is that racist?
Who else has a wall in the world?
Mexico.
Apart from
I couldn't give you China.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, he appealed to your lynch mob mentality.
Where has China wall?
The Great Wall of China.
Yeah. That was built like.
Sure. Yeah, a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah. The Vatican.
The Vatican that's a religious, that's very, very.
Israel.
That's once again a religious.
Okay, so we're going to throw out all the examples of valid walls. The point is, we have a problem, though. Unlike Germany, we have a problem with so many people wanting to get in our country, right?
Oh, so many people wanted to come to Germany. Do you have any idea? We have like
Why don't you accept them all?
refugees. We accepted them all.
All?
Yes.
Okay.
That was it.
How's that working?
it has been working out very well.
Really?
There were like huge, like, okay, maybe you haven't seen this, but in Munich there were like refugees coming from Syria, from northern Lebanon, and in Munich there were like people waiting for them, and they had like teddy bears, they had like presents for them, and they opened their hearts and their arms for them, because we know how hard it is if you're going through a war, or if you're like in any way repressed in your system. Like Germany knows very well what that's like.
Right.
And having like people that take you with open arms is so important in those moments. And we let them in. Like we had our border open.
Yeah.
Like Angela Merkel said they can all come.
Right. Yeah, they've changed it a little bit since then because
They have changed it
because
since then,
you've
yes.
run out of room.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
we would need a-
skyrocketing crime and the rape and all that has been a real problem.
There has been no skyrocketing in crime, and there hasn't been an increase
No,
in
there has
rape.
been. There has been a
There
drastic
has been-
increase in rape and crime. And
Okay, but then you are wrongly informed here, because like
No, I'm not.
I worked in German media. I worked
Sure.
in German news,
yeah,
and that's not accurate.
it is accurate. There's been a drastic increase in rape in Germany, dramatically.
Where do you have that information from?
Well, I don't have it at the ready, but let's start with Cologne. You guys have actually gotten to the point of handing out do not rape pamphlets.
Okay, let's talk about Cologne, but then let's talk about what happens in Dresden, what happens in Saxonia, where like
True.
refugee centers are getting burned down, where people are getting like screamed at when they arrive,
Right.
where like you have like hate crimes. We recently had a politician getting killed because he supported refugees.
Yeah.
He got shot.
It's terrible.
He got killed.
But that would also lend itself to the overall increased crime, right, in Germany?
Yes.
It hasn't been super easy, and that would lend itself to the reason that
No, it
Merkel
hasn't
said,
been super
all right, we have a
easy.
problem, we need to cut
Oh
down
my
on
God, it hasn't been super easy.
But let me ask you this, can someone oppose open borders and not be a racist? For example, can someone support strong immigration policy,
Yeah.
especially in the most desirable country in the world, the United States?
I think you can support strong immigration policy. It's all
Including a
about
wall?
like no, I don't think including a wall.
So if we support a wall, does that make someone racist?
It goes into a certain racist narrative that appeals to certain groups in the society.
I don't understand. Could you be more specific?
So if we talk about a wall, why would we even need a wall?
To stop the illegal immigration. Because more than half of illegal immigrants enter the country illegally through the Mexican border.
Sure, but we already have, we don't have, I don't live here, but you have like a fence, you have parts that are a wall, and that is already like,
Well, no, the problem is we
sometimes
have...
working, sometimes
The
not
problem
working.
is we have many, countless miles of completely unprotected border right
Yes,
now.
yes.
And that's where the problems are. And so again, my question is, that would be a part, that's not the only thing that people support, right?
Yeah.
But we do think we have a problem right now of illegal immigration in the country, and we want people to enter the country legally. And she's from the Netherlands, she was talking about it, her parents being big American fans. They want to migrate here. My mother immigrated here legally,
Yeah,
right? So the people who hurt the most are legal immigrants.
Sister, yeah.
So what about all those legal immigrants, black, white, brown, yellow, who also support a wall and stronger immigration policy?
Right here.
Oh, just because you're an immigrant doesn't mean you can't be racist.
I'm right here.
So they too would be racist.
I am Jesus Christ. But my name is not
No,
Aaron.
like there's of course like there's always the fine line between like, okay, do I support like stronger immigration laws, because I'm a conservative person, or do I support stronger immigration laws because I am racist?
Yeah, but if someone says, for example, Donald Trump, it's because they're conservative and they have a problem with illegal immigration, as I do, as she does, as Donald Trump does. But you said you think that makes them racist.
I'm curious, who's racist?
Lying to yourself and
Racist. Well, I would go by the textbook definition of racism.
telling me the truth.
Right.
I want
So
to
it'd be.
listen to a liar
Sorry, I know
lie
he's very loud. I
yourself.
appreciate you and I having a good conversation. Prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. Right. So I don't believe it's saying.
Sorry,
For,
what's the second one?
oh, same thing. The belief that all members of each race possess the characteristics or abilities specific to that race, especially so as to distinguish it as inferior or superior to another race. In other words, believing that members of your race are superior. This is the textbook definition.
Yes.
I don't see how in any scenario wanting, and this is just me being ignorant because, maybe everyone here is a racist, including the black people and brown people who support stronger borders. I don't see how supporting stronger borders and making sure that people are migrating here legally is racist. I don't see how in any connotation, unless they said it's because I don't like Mexicans because they're brown. Like if someone said that, I would say, of course they're racist.
Well, there's a very fine line that is like kind of it's a tightrope that he's walking on.
I don't think so.
Oh, I think
I've seen plenty of evidence that he's not racist. I mean, you look at the diverse cabinet that he's appointed, you look at his praise of Ben Carson, you look at Arsenio Hall winning the Celebrity Apprentice. He's talked about legal immigrants being great Americans and a great value to the society. I don't see him walking a tightrope. I don't see any evidence of him being racist. Because you mentioned Charlottesville, and I would agree with you if he didn't say, of course, white supremacists and neo-Nazis should be condemned totally. So would we agree, it seems to me like maybe you weren't fully aware of that, would we agree that, okay, he clearly condemned them, let's move on from that. Let's say he did a good job there, right? And now you're saying he's walking a tightrope. Well, if he didn't, what would he need to do to satisfy you? What would he need to say outside of condemn them totally?
what he would need to say to me is like, these protests, are a way of history repeating itself, like going back to times that honestly I don't want to see in the US anymore. Where like people who are liberal or, are getting attacked. Like you have domestic terrorism here, which is white terrorism.
Yeah, well, it's not just white terrorism, but sure.
But like this weekend, it's white terrorism.
Okay, let's go with white terrorism.
Yeah, let's go with white terrorism.
I just think it's terrorism because, again, they didn't do it because they were white, so it seems a little racist for you to say that.
No, but like what I'm pointing.
One of them did it because he hated immigrants, and then the other one did it because he was a socialist environmentalist, Elizabeth Warren voter who wanted socialism in the United States.
Yes.
Did you know that? About the Dayton shooter, that he was an extremist socialist who killed because he hates Republicans?
No, I didn't know that, but...
So I say that because it's not like they all have the same ideology, right? Like Islamic terrorism, if they're killing in a jihad like ISIS, we can say, well, that's Islamic terrorism, right? White terrorism is not really... They weren't all white supremacists. That's my point.
But there's a person here who is a white supremacist.
There was one person.
There is a person here who is a white supremacist. Full stop. End of story. That is white terrorism.
That one person,
If you want to say it's Islamic terrorism, then the other one is most definitely white terrorism.
Sure.
Like, that's white supremacist terrorism.
That one person, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But I wouldn't say all homegrown terrorists is white terrorism.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, you said you have a problem here that's white terrorism.
Yeah, I have a problem with white terrorism.
No, you said we have a problem that's white terrorism. And I was just saying there was one white supremacist.
You have a problem with white terrorism.
Okay.
And I'm not saying you don't have a problem with other terrorism.
Sure.
But you have a problem with white terrorism.
Yeah, terrorism is a problem in general. Sure. All terrorism.
All terrorism is a problem, most definitely.
Yes.
But why do you have more white supremacist terrorism than, for instance, we have in Europe?
We don't.
You do.
We don't.
Yeah, okay, but then I don't need to argue with you. Like, sorry, but that's bullshit.
Didn't you just talk about someone trying to kill the president or the mayor in Germany? Didn't you just talk about them burning down refugee camps? Has that happened in the United States ever? I mean, that would seem to me to be white supremacist terrorism, right? Anti-immigrant terrorism. You just listed me a bunch of examples, did you not?
Yes.
That's far more extreme than what we've had here. We had one person. Terrible, but it sounds to me like you listed multiple incidents, right? My only point is that it happens everywhere.
Of course you don't have refugee camps, you don't have refugees.
Well, they could be doing it at that. Well, we have refugees at the border, is what you were talking about. We would just say they're asylum seekers who will be deported. But my point is, you do have it in Europe.
Yes, we do. We do have it in Europe.
You have white supremacy in Europe.
Yes, of course.
Particularly Germany. It's a problem. It's not good anywhere. I'm not defending white terrorism.
Yeah.
Okay, continue with your point. Before white terrorism, we both agree terrorism bad.
We both agree terrorism is bad.
Donald Trump is racist because.
Okay, Donald Trump is not racist because.
Because there's no evidence that he's a racist. If you make an outlandish accusation that can destroy someone's life, it is your duty to prove that he's a racist.
His life? Are you kidding me?
Accusing anyone of racism is one of the worst accusations you can lodge.
He's been president for 3 years. How has his life been affected?
Well, no, hold on a second. I just answered your question. So I said he is not a racist because I've seen no evidence of him being a racist.
I just counter-argued what you said, so you...
Sure. No, I don't think he's a racist because he's never done anything racist. He's done many things to the opposite effect. Why do you think he's a racist?
Okay, what has he done to the opposite effect?
I mean, if you look at having Ben Carson on his staff, the guy has repeatedly embraced people of all different colors as long as they line up with the same political persuasion.
Yeah, he's a token black person for the urban stuff.
Before he ran for president, Arsenio Hall won Celebrity Apprentice. Typically not something a racist would do.
Are you serious?
So is it his job to prove to you that he's not a racist? Because why? Really? You're a racist.
Well, because
you're a racist.
I'm not a racist.
You're a racist.
Dude, why are you screaming that at me? I'm
Why,
not. I'm not.
why
a
would you
racist.
not be a racist?
Why would I not be a racist?
Yeah, how are you not a racist?
How am I not a racist?
Yeah.
I've never committed any racist crime. I've never used racist wording, ideologies. I've never asked for stronger border control. I've never.
So you see asking, I was with you with everything because you were just like Donald Trump until you said I never asked for stronger border control.
Yes.
You think that makes someone racist? That's okay, we just disagree.
Yeah, because like there's a rhetoric used here which downgrades Mexicans as a race.
No. Your problem isn't with Donald Trump, your problem is with the law, but the fact that you assume all illegal immigrants are brown Mexicans tells me you're racist.
But the majority is though. Like we can't ignore that.
That's pretty racist.
No, that's not racist at all. That's just factual.
I was talking about illegal immigration, you start talking about brown Mexicans.
I didn't say brown. You used the word brown. So...
Okay, white Mexicans.
Okay. Well, dude, like, are you f***ing kidding me?
Well, I'm just saying, you said, prove to me he's not a racist. Prove to me you're not a
Okay.
racist. That's not how it works. If someone says Donald Trump is a racist,
Yeah.
it is your job to
Okay.
prove that he's a racist. Anyone's job to prove that he's a racist. I just
Okay.
don't see it.
What is the reason you need stronger immigration policies?
Yeah, several reasons. For national security reasons, for economic reasons.
What is the national security reason? Give me that reason.
Okay, you have unprotected borders and you have people who are not being monitored, who don't pay taxes. You have people who are overstaying visas. There is no way to secure our borders if there is giant unprotected swaths of our border. And
What will a wall do?
so a wall, it's not just a wall, but a wall. Obviously more cybersecurity, more guards on that wall, and of course having enhanced security measures that would crack down on overstayed visas. That would allow us to know who's in the country.
Why are you the only country that needs a wall?
Well, because we have a huge border that's unprotected, and we have people flooding through in record numbers, over 100,000 people a month.
Oh, you think Europe doesn't have huge borders?
Not 100,000 people a month, no.
100,000 people a month.
Yes.
Honey, like there's exactly the.
I guarantee you
think
not as
about-
many people are
Okay,
coming.
sorry. Italy, Greece, people coming from Turkey. Like we have.
You have immigrants, sure.
Yes, we have immigrants.
But you asked me a reason why we would need a wall. And because you don't want a wall in your home country, you think
Yes.
Americans shouldn't want a wall in theirs.
Yes.
We have more people trying to get into this country than any other country in the world. Do you disagree? Okay, that's a fact. Let's just continue then. More people are trying to get into this country. You have more people entering this
if
country.
Germany, with 80 million inhabitants, can handle 1 million refugees, why can't America, with 300 million inhabitants, handle 3 million refugees?
Well, you just answered your own question. We have over 300 million people in this country.
Yeah.
And it's a problem. It's an economic problem, and it's a national security problem to have
What
more
is
people.
an economic problem?
Well, people who aren't on the books, people who aren't necessarily paying taxes, coming in and benefiting from services here in the United States.
Then make them legal.
Well, that doesn't help the problem.
No,
That just encourages more people to enter the country illegally, and you end up with them separated in refugee camps, as you put them, because they're encouraged. There's no reason to. If you don't want people to be put in camps at the border, right? If you don't want people to be separated from their families or kids to be locked up with their families, we need to stop the ability for them, stop the incentive for them to come here illegally.
No, we need to offer them asylum, and we need to offer them a way to legally
What if we don't want
migrate.
to?
Why don't you want to? What is your reason that you don't?
I want them to go through the legal channels as all of the legal immigrants have.
What
to
if
do.
we make it legal?
No, not if they're here illegally, no. There is a legal way to come to this country. They're not doing it. I don't think that's racist. Most Americans don't think that's racist. Your friend from the Netherlands doesn't think it's racist. My French-Canadian mom doesn't think it's racist.
That's okay for my friend from the Netherlands.
But you think it's racist to believe that people should enter the country legally.
I think it's racist to believe that people that come from Mexico ultimately bring in like rape, bring in violence, bring in I don't even know. Okay, I have another beautiful example.
Okay.
What about calling Africa shithole countries?
Well, you didn't say Africa is are shithole countries. You
No.
talked about multiple countries being shithole countries.
Yes.
Yeah.
How is that not racist? How calling
It depends on whether it's a shithole country or not.
Okay, if I call like
That's not saying that you believe you're superior to someone because
of
of
course
race.
it is. I'm saying you are we are great.
I'm not gonna lie.
That's
I think
secure.
Germany's kind of a shitty country. Doesn't mean I think Germans are lesser than Americans. I just don't like your policies.
Well, that is racist because you would say that like Germans are shitty.
No, I think Germany's a crappy country. for a multitude of reasons.
Why is Germany a crappy country?
Well, you don't have freedom of speech is one of them.
We have freedom of speech.
No, you don't. You don't have freedom of speech. You do not have freedom of speech. You jail people for unpopular speech. You jail people for offensive speech.
No.
Yes, you do.
No.
I don't.
No.
Okay, I'm not going to
None of
argue
this
with you.
is accurate.
It is
You're
100%
lying.
accurate. It is
You're
100%
lying. Like, I live.
You
like,
do not have freedom of speech enshrined in the German Constitution. It doesn't exist.
We
It's not a
have
thing.
freedom of speech.
Let me continue on down the
I
list.
worked in media. I worked in news media. We have freedom of speech. We could write whatever we wanted to.
No, you don't.
No, we do.
Let me ask you this.
I
Are you-
studied politics in Germany. I
Sure.
studied the system. What you're
Right.
saying is a bland out
So-
lie.
No, it's 100% accurate. People are arrested in Germany, jailed for speech.
No.
Yes.
They're arrested if they use hateful speech. Because of course they are. Okay, f*** off. So you want Nazis?
You guys started it. Come on, that's okay. Let's not get heated. Anytime it gets heated, we have to calm it down. If you want to calm down.
No, I'm sorry, but this is f***ed up. We have Nazis.
So
and
people are arrested for hate speech, though.
people are arrested for hate speech.
You don't have freedom of speech. So I think Germany's shitty. Thank you.
No, I don't shake with you. You're
okay.
a liar. You're a f***ing liar. I'm sorry, but where's the line? I'm sorry, where's the f***ing line?
All speech is permissible. No line. All speech is permissible.
All speeches are permissible.
No matter how offensive, it's permissible.
Okay.
You can't jail anyone for speech.
Okay. So, I mean, you would be the one in the 1930s who would definitely vote for Hitler. Like, yeah, I say, oh.
No. We voted for the guy who beat your leader's ass.
No, you didn't. You weren't alive.
I wasn't alive. You said if I were alive.
Okay, seriously though. But if we can't...
I mean, I would vote, put it this way, if I were in Germany at that time, I would vote against the National Socialists who implemented gun control and speech restrictions. I would vote against them.
Okay, if I can say, like, Jews are bastards and they should all die, and I don't have to end up in...
It's terrible to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And I don't, like... And
You shouldn't be jailed.
you don't always end up in jail. Sometimes you just get a penalty.
But-
Oh my god.
I don't think you should be penalized for saying something offensive. That's what I'm saying.
Why
You don't
not?
have freedom because I don't want that power to be delegated to the government because we never know who the next guy is going to be. The government should not be in charge of who is allowed to speak or what they're allowed to say.
Okay.
And if you think that makes me a racist, that's fine. I would never say those things.
No, I understand. That's liberal. That's
Yes.
like, you have a liberal view on that. I
Yes.
understand that. That's like, I understand
And
that.
I think that countries that don't support the United States is the only country that has that.
Yeah.
I think it's shittier. So it's not because I hate Germans, but I think that policy is a policy. You may disagree with me, but you understand my reasoning, right?
I do disagree with you, yeah.
Okay, but it's not because I'm racist. You understand, right? Like I would be right there saying, "Hey, that's a shitty thing to say if someone said that about Jews."
Yes.
Okay, especially as a supporter of Israel, I hate it when people go out and just go on anti-Semitic tirades.
Yes.
But they have the right to do it.
They have the right to do it.
Yes, in this country, not in Germany.
So there is no line for you.
Not when it comes to speech.
Not when it comes to speech. Okay, so where's the line?
There is no line with speech.
So the line is in action.
Yes.
Okay. I understand that. That's a liberal view. That's like, that's fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We've calmed down now. We're good.
We've
I think
calmed
you were
down.
misunderstanding me because you think I was supporting racist speech. I'm not. I just support people's right to say it.
You're just twisting around words.
No, I'm trying to be as clear as possible. There is no
No,
line.
I understand. You're liberal. Like, I understand
Okay.
that. You're like liberal in that sense that you say everybody should be able to say whatever, whenever.
Right. Just like Donald Trump. Just like Republicans. That's what Republicans, conservatives tend to believe. Freedom of speech is
Okay.
absolute. We're
Okay.
very liberal.
Okay, but then like we will not, like then you and me will not find common grounds because I believe in the idea that discourse and that what we are saying is shaping our society.
I agree with you too. That's why I hope that you see this as productive. That's why we didn't just sit and yell with him. But what happened? Oh, car. I hope that you would see this discourse as productive. This is what I try and do.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that even though I think that guy's a jerk and he was yelling and berating people and screaming, I don't believe that I have the right to shut him down or the government does. That's all I'm saying. But this is the discourse that I support and believe in, even if we disagree.
Yeah, like my problem is that like basically if the discourse is like filled with hate speech, if the discourse is filled with like, then it normalizes then it takes the step to action, like, is a lot lower. Do you know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I think a far graver risk is that step in giving the authority to the government in determining what speech is permissible. So I agree with you. If you say it's a slippery slope, right, because we allow people to speak freely, and they might say something that could inspire someone to do something terrible. And I agree, that could happen.
Yes.
But I would say more of a concern, particularly as you'd mentioned historically, Germany, Russia, Cuba, these places, more of a concern is once the government gets that power in determining what is offensive, what is hate speech, they expand that power, and that's a far greater risk than individuals saying terrible things. That's an opinion.
Yeah, that's an opinion. So you have a very, like, I understand, like, you have a very liberal, like, freedom-oriented view of government. Where
Right.
I come from a very social democratic system where, like, we value certain ideals and certain, like, also security over freedom.
Right.
Yes.
I understand that. I just disagree with it. I just disagree with it.
Yeah, that I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I think I don't want to take up the whole time, but I appreciate you sitting down. I hope we've
Yeah,
left
of
it
course.
better than when we got upset. I hope you
Yeah.
understand. Okay. Wow, look at that. We went from a 1 to a 10 in intensity, and then back down to a 2. Thanks, Jesse. By the way, if you want these segments to continue, please consider joining Mug Club at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. Not only do you get access to the full daily show not available on YouTube, as well as this hand-etched girthy mug, but it's the only way for this content to continue on YouTube, since the tech overlords have deemed this series too controversial to monetize or even be included in the suggested feed. Okay, on with the hate-speaking show.
Hello, y'all. All the way from California.
Oh, thank you. What's your name?
My name is Taisha.
Taisha?
Yeah.
Nice
what
to meet
is
you,
yours?
Steven.
Steven. Okay.
Nice to meet you. Sorry, I should have said my name while shaking your hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, apologies. There's just so much going on here. All right, so Taisha, right? Got that correct? If I get it wrong again,
Absolutely.
I apologize. This is pretty simple. I mean, you hear this guy yelling. I'm not convinced that President Donald Trump is a racist. I don't buy it. Changed my mind.
I truly believe that Donald Trump's a racist
Okay, why?
because Donald Trump don't understand the difference between living several lives. You know what I'm saying? Some people are growing up with silver and gold spoons in their mouth, and some people are not. Right.
Right.
And I really feel that he leaned towards the side that grew up with silver and gold spoons in their mouth. Right. So my side is a side that didn't grow up in that type of equality. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I just think that, he's not for the people. You know what I'm saying? He's selfish and he just for himself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't want to be a part of the problem. I want to be a part of the solution. You know what I'm saying? So I guess
I appreciate
we got to
that.
let him serve his 4 years and hope he don't get elected for a second term.
Probably will.
Huh?
Probably will.
And he probably won't. It's a 50-50 chance.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, because at the end of the day, my vote is going to say that he not get a second term.
Right.
Who all agree? Donald Trump don't need a second term? Oh, well, so maybe you got Trump support.
No, that's okay. That's okay. No, I understand where you're coming, and I
If
certainly
he
wasn't
do, he
raised
do.
with a
If he
silver
don't, he
spoon.
don't. Exactly.
I wasn't raised with a silver spoon, but what specifically makes you think that he's a racist? Because that's a very lofty accusation, right, to toss out there.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I grew up around Hispanic people, and I love the Hispanic people. And I understand, I mean, he has a great argument about putting the wall up at the end of the day, but I don't like the simple fact that he's separating children from their parents. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a child development major, of course, and of course it says that a child needs to be with someone that cares for them and not with strangers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I believe in children being around either the mom or dad or someone that they know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember it was one situation where he completely separated the mom from the child for at least 6 months, and I believe the child was not even 10 years old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, and do you believe that makes him a racist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, would he want his son separate with him?
No,
from
I
him
don't.
for
I don't
6
think
months?
anybody would.
No.
Do you believe
absolutely.
Barack Obama's a racist?
Not really. I mean, but Barack Obama was for everybody.
But he did that.
Huh?
He did that.
I don't remember him separating no child
So did
from
Bill
the
Clinton.
parent.
It goes actually back to the 97 Flores consent policy, where they said that you can't separate children
Right.
from their parents, right? It was a
Right.
problem. And so then they stopped doing it because they saw it basically as cruelty for children to be separated. And then they ended up putting them together, which is how you see these families and what they refer to as children in cages, which actually the pictures you saw happened under Barack Obama. But he did that exact same thing.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, Barack Obama deported more illegal immigrants than Donald Trump. Up to 400,000 a month. Donald Trump stayed under 300,000.
Right.
So
but at the end of the day, But at the end of the day, Trump is still in his first term. Barack Obama already served 2 terms
But
already.
my point is he did the same thing. Does that make him a racist? Are
If
they
he
both
win the
racist?
second election, I'm pretty sure his numbers will outnumber Barack's.
Well, no, I'm talking about on a month, an annual basis or a month-to-month basis. So I'm not saying totality. Obviously, Barack Obama would deport more. I'm talking about on a consistent sort of on a per period of time basis. So my only question to you is, I don't think Barack Obama's a racist. I don't think Bill Clinton's a racist. I don't think Donald Trump's a racist. I don't think George W. Bush was a racist. But if Barack Obama and Bill Clinton did the exact same thing, do you believe that they are racist? Because that was what you said.
Right.
Justified your
And
accusation.
also, like I said, I mean, Barack Obama. Okay, when you speak on Barack Obama, Barack Obama was for all races, right?
But he did the
In
same
all
thing as
walks
far as
of life.
separating families.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, I totally agree that he separated families and all that. But at the end of the day, let me tell you, Barack Obama was for all walks of life. Trump is not. You know what I'm saying? He's
Okay.
ready to come in there and cut this, cut that, cut this, cut that. Stuff that people actually rely on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's not saying, well, within 5 years, he's not even pre-warning people and saying, within 5 years, I'm cutting this. Within 10 years, I'm cutting this. I think it's only fair if you see poor people, you need to pre-warn them so they can make changes in their life and get prepared for things to be cut.
Right. So you are saying, I just want to make sure that I understand this. You said because he separated families, that was racist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not racist for Barack Obama to do it because you believe that in combination with the fact that Trump is not
at the
for
end of the
everyone,
day-
you believe he's racist.
At the end of the day, I think everybody have racism in it. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I don't care who you are, you have racism in it.
So not Donald
You know
Trump
what I'm saying?
particularly more than
because
anyone else.
say like you're walking. I mean, say like you're driving down the street. You get cut off. You might call somebody out their name. You know what I'm saying? Pertaining to their race. You know what I'm saying? So I
Like
think we are
Asian
racist.
drivers, is that what you're saying?
Something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're
Still
talking
wanna
about.
say
No, I get it.
Nothing. But personally, I hope he don't get a second term. I just don't hope that.
Right, but I do think it's important, I mean, because accusing somebody of racism, right, that can be something that alters people's lives. You know, if someone isn't a racist and
Absolutely.
they're called a racist, right, they can't get a job.
Right.
They're tarred and feathered for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And when you say well, Donald Trump isn't for all people, I mean, I don't agree. Black Americans have it better under Donald Trump than they did under Barack Obama. Rasmussen Poll actually showed at the end of Obama, black people answered saying they don't think that life was better for black Americans under Obama. But these are polls from Gallup and Rasmussen, and black unemployment is at an all-time low. So it seems to me that he's doing some things that are benefiting everybody.
Right, but okay, put it like this. When Barack Obama had got in office, he tried to create healthcare for everyone, right? What has Trump done as far as healthcare concerned? He's trying to cut it.
Well, he's trying to improve healthcare for everyone.
Another thing,
Because healthcare became way too expensive for people with the Obama exchange care.
Right.
People who were in the middle class, they didn't qualify for the benefits, and so they were harmed, right? So what Donald Trump is trying to do, and I agree, he hasn't done enough on healthcare, but he's trying to fix it in a different way. So my point is, I think, here's what I would ask you. Do you think that maybe, just maybe, and I appreciate how civil this has been, compared to that guy screaming and yelling, just hold on. Thanks. That maybe you have a preconceived notion about President Trump, and so you sort of attribute racism there where it may not be. You maybe have some prejudice. Do you think that could be fair to say?
no, I'm not. No, I'm not prejudiced. I wouldn't say I'm prejudiced. I'm absolutely not prejudiced. I didn't deal with all walks of life, all races. I didn't work around.
Well, no,
all
I mean
races.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump, prejudice against Donald Trump, because you seem to sort of presuppose that he's a racist before you analyze his actions.
I just personally don't like the guy because of the simple fact of, how could you elect a president that got away with so much? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
he don't even like women. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Oh, I think he likes women a lot.
No. For a simple fact is, he grabs them by the crotch and all that.
I think he likes them. He might like them a little too much. That's the problem.
Nah, but that's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
That's disrespectful, yeah.
If you and your wife was walking down the truck driving you, I'm pretty sure you would have wanted to knock him out.
Oh
right?
yeah, of course. If it were my wife, I thought you were saying he was gay.
No, I wasn't saying he was gay.
No.
I'm saying that how could you elect someone that under these circumstances of what they did, whether if they're past or present, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not here to defend everything from Donald
Right.
Trump. I just don't see any evidence that Donald Trump is a racist. I see a lot of evidence to the contrary, and that you see him heaping praise on all kinds of black Americans. He was the first president to release that. I forgot her name. The black woman who was in there for drug-related crimes. He commuted her sentence. She was out. Barack Obama never did it. Actually, I think I might have her. I'll find her name out. It wasn't Anita. It was, what was her name, Darren? The lady who he commuted her sentence, black lady, drug-related crimes.
Well, maybe he likes some of
Do you remember that? If someone could Google really quickly, the black lady for Donald Trump commuted her sentence for drug-related crimes. It wasn't Anita. It was with an A though. Allison. Alice what? Alice Marie Johnson.
You are.
So he did that and talked about what a great woman she was. I mean, my point, yeah, maybe with some black people.
Right.
But the point is, I don't think we've seen him do anything that would indicate he hates black people.
But he could have done that on, because he don't want people to believe that he racist. He could have did something like that, like just little
But
things.
that's only if you assume he's racist, though. See, you're saying because you don't, but you're assuming that he is racist. What if he's not?
I'm never going to be convinced that he's not.
Well, that's not fair.
I just
It's not fair to say that, though. Shouldn't you have to prove that someone's racist?
Yeah, you should.
I mean, I've been accused of being a racist just because I believe that we should have border security.
Right.
I mean, where's
I think we should have border security too.
he's biracial. He works for me.
Right.
He's quarter black.
Right.
Yeah, you know, my point is, and I'm not saying that's my token black friend, but the point is, it doesn't mean that you hate black people just because someone says it. Let me read you a couple of quotes. I want to see if you think that these are racist, okay? And the reason is just because this is an exercise. It's
And
not a
where are these
gotcha.
quotes coming from?
Well, I don't want to tell you first, okay? Let's read these as Donald Trump quotes. I want
I
to.
know you didn't look that up through Wikipedia.
No, these are real quotes. I promise you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So hold on a second. Let me find this here really quickly.
I mean,
All right.
because I know in college we're taught to give someone credit if you're,
Yeah. I'll give you a good credit afterward, but I want to see because this is a mental exercise. I think you're attributing a little bit more racism than is actually there.
Okay.
And we've all done it if it's someone we don't like, mind you, right? I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Barack Obama. I come from Quebec, socialist province, so I might have had some blind spots where I attributed motive in my mind where I shouldn't have. So I'll admit that. All right. So let me ask you this: do you take this as a racist quote? Legal immigrants enrich our nation and strengthen our society in countless ways. I want people to come into our country in the largest numbers ever, but they do have to come in legally. Is that racist?
That don't sound racist.
That's not racist. Okay.
He's just saying that he don't want to come in illegally. He's
Right.
got to come in illegally.
Okay. America proudly welcomes millions of lawful immigrants who enrich our society and contribute to our nation, but all Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal immigration.
Not always true.
Okay. But you wouldn't say that's racist.
Yeah, it sounds racist because we're not always hurt by illegal immigrants.
No, he said, but all Americans are hurt. Not always hurt, but all Americans are hurt.
I get what he's saying.
All right, what about this?
Maybe as far as taking away our resources and all that.
So maybe. All right, I'm reading these in progressive order, right?
Okay.
The American people who are American people are welcoming and generous people, but those who enter our country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law. And because we live in an age where terrorists are challenging our borders, we cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, and unchecked. Americans are right to demand better border security and better enforcement of immigration laws. Does that sound racist?
No, don't sound racist.
That don't sound racist? That doesn't sound racist? Good. We are a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous.
But he only on.
That's why over the past
But
6
that's only
different criminals are up.
pertaining to illegal immigrants.
So you think this is racist? This one?
No, it's not racist actually because it's only pertaining to legal immigrants.
Right.
My question was, do we like all walks of life? You know what I'm saying? I mean, just not illegal immigrants. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean,
So you don't think any of those were racist?
no, it wasn't.
Okay. Because half of those are Barack Obama.
They're interested in the propaganda.
Donald Trump and Barack Obama are very similar in immigration policy.
Okay, but I know the difference between somebody being racist and somebody not being racist.
Right. So what would be an example of Donald Trump being explicitly
What you
racist?
don't understand is who you're talking with.
Just
Someone
the things he do, the cuts that he makes and all that stuff. I mean,
But if you engage
he wants
the
to
enemy on the battlefield,
just take different things away. You know what I'm saying?
Might not be, you guys
I haven't
might
too
not
much
be benefiting
read up
from
on
this,
what he
but
cut
I am.
lately, but I know
I'm
he cut
learning
some
what-
things. You know what I'm saying? I
what
mean,
gets
I remember
to you,
he
what
tried to
doesn't
take
get
the
to you, what makes you turn your head,
I think he tried
what
to
makes
take
you
the,
think, what makes you
the
don't
free phone
think.
away. You know
I
what I'm saying?
learned
Yeah.
how
Doesn't mean he's a
to
racist.
be.
That is racist. You know why? Because
You're assuming that only black people need
no,
free phones.
not only black people. Everybody, every walk of life needs a free phone. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody goes on hard times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
I don't
when it's not about
Huh?
politics.
I don't agree.
I'm saying,
I respectfully
what I'm saying,
disagree.
what I'm
It's
saying
not
is,
about politics,
he's
it's about
racist
we are
towards.
under
He not.
attack.
I
And
guess
there's
he's
a
not
whole- there's a
racist
cult
towards
following
different
who are
races. He's just
enabling
racist towards. The simple
No,
fact is,
not
like,
at this
he
point,
don't
he's
understand
not.
that
He's
you
completely
actually
devoted
poor
to Trump.
people out
You
there.
think he's insensitive toward poor people?
He's completely
And poor people could be black, white, brown.
Exactly.
Okay. So you don't think he's racist? You think he's more classist?
That's that part right there.
Okay.
So
all right.
maybe I'm mixing racism but with classism.
Well, that's fine. That was productive. I think we both discussed that and figured it out.
But
Yeah.
I just still don't think he's a good president to be in.
That's
for our
fine.
country. You know what I'm
I
saying?
understand.
Because you need somebody that understands all walks of life. You know what I'm saying? You need somebody to help our country, not hurt our country. You know
But
what
our
I'm saying?
country's doing better than
Because at
ever
the-
before.
at the end of the day,
I mean, we do have record low
you have to-
unemployment. We have higher wages. You know,
Right.
we have a job surplus. There are more jobs available than ever before. Our country's doing really well. So everyone is doing really well.
Right.
There's more class mobility. Now, it's never perfect. But I would say that that is indicative of someone who's trying to improve the country for everyone. But, you know, we can disagree on that. But,
Right.
okay.
But when you start cutting stuff from the poor people, it's more crime. Because why? They're gonna start talking to people that has more, whether they work for it or they got it with how they got it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think an antidote to more crime is more employment. We have more employment than ever before, so
Well,
maybe
no,
that's
that's
why
not
we have
always.
good.
That's not always. What about the people that don't want to work?
Those people,
What about the
those people are
people that
useless.
rely? People
who don't wanna work?
Totally agree.
Yeah, I have
You know
no
what I'm
tolerance for
saying?
people who don't wanna
What
work.
about the people that relies on the government and all that stuff? And then if he cut that,
Cut it.
no, why?
People,
What you mean?
people who
cut
don't
it?
want to work, cut it.
What do you mean cut it?
Cut that.
I wouldn't want to cut it. Why? Because anybody can fall on hard times. Somebody can lose their job.
But you
today
just
or
said people
tomorrow.
who don't want to work.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm talking
People
about
that
serial
don't want to
welfare
work.
recipients. Cut it.
Okay. But at the end of the day,
And I don't think that's
okay,
racist.
them and the people that falls on hard times, because everybody falls on hard
I
times.
fall on hard times, but that's very different. That's
And then some people
much
take
easier to
that
measure
cut.
than people who don't want to work.
Right.
So, you know, when you look at, like, for example, the Green New Deal, or look at some of the proposals from Cortez,
I don't want it cut. You know why? Because I think it's going to increase the crime rate.
I don't care.
I do.
I don't care if it increases the crime
I
rate.
do.
I don't think it will, but I don't care. If someone doesn't want to work, I
I'm
don't
a
think it's
single
my
mom
job to
with
pay
8
for
kids.
that.
You think I want crime rate increase? I don't want nobody to be breaking in my house thinking, oh, she got this, she got that, just because they see me with a brand new car.
Well, if you're affording a brand new car because you're working, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I don't want to have a gun at my head and be held hostage by someone who doesn't want to work, saying, "Hey, give me this free stuff, otherwise I'm going to commit crime." That's not how it works. No.
Well,
If
but
you don't
that's
get
not
free.
how
You
it
don't
works,
get free
but that's
stuff,
technically
and if
how
you
it
commit
works.
crime, we lock you up.
Right, right. But guess what? Somebody might have to get hurt or die before that person get locked up.
Well, just lock them up. I think it's a better solution than giving people free stuff because we're afraid they might loot and cause crimes. I don't believe that's how. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily agree.
Right.
I understand people fall on hard times, but
But
people
I
who don't
think-
want to work, they shouldn't eat.
I think it's a difference between a man and a woman because probably a person would target me more than they target you because you're a man. They know you're going to fight.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why you should own a
They
gun
know
to
me.
defend yourself.
A lot of people tell me that. You know what I'm saying? But I got God in my life, so.
Well, that's good, but you know, say a prayer, but also lock your doors and pop the magazine in there. Thank you. Was it Taisha? Okay, thank you, Taisha. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
All right.
It was very productive. You have a good day. God bless you. 8 children?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's tough. Godspeed.
And a college student.
Oh, good for you. Awesome. Thank you.
Nurse major.
Hey, if you enjoyed this installment of Change My Mind, click one of these other installments in the videos playing in boxes here. That's the only way you'll find them, because if you search Change My Mind, they might not show up because YouTube's deemed them controversial. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you know, we'll see you, but we probably won't.